there, and welcome to another cracking review of a new pen. This is the TWSBI L580, aluminum 580. Interesting model. They've been shipped in these boxes for a long time now. You have this foamy pad, and then you have the box. I've always enjoyed these boxes, very clean looking, very bit industrial. And you have your little instruction sheet in color, which is a nice touch. And then you have your pen. They come in a bunch of colors, and this is the purple. Now I'm trying to lift up the thing in the box. In there is a little bit of liquid silicone grease as well as a wrench. Now the problem with liquid silicone grease is that it can drip down from the section into the feed and then clog it, so I'm not sure how smart it is to use it. I personally like the smearable silicone grease a little bit better, but you know, it's you have to work with what you've got. The pen basically a 580 but with aluminum parts. TWSBI is a brand that people go completely nuts over, and not without reason. They make pens that are relatively affordable. You get piston-filled pens, you get pens that you can disassemble completely. The wrench to disassemble the pen is included with the pen, which is neat, so I think TWSBI has a lot going for it. There have also been a lot of reports of TWSBI pens cracking, and I have the feeling this aluminum movement is part of an attempt to not make these pens crack. And I've understood they've started to use another type of plastic, so let's hope that that'll work out. Okay, I'm going to cover the parts of the pens, tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and I'll do a writing sample. At the top of the finial, at the top of the cap there, you got the finial. I've always liked the TWSBI logo, it's neat. You have this cute clip. The clip is springy enough to be used. We have the cap. It has a slightly smoky grey inner cap, which has been pointed out to me is to make sure that the ink does not dry up when the pen is in sunlight. You have a center band that says 580, and at the other end it says it says TWSBI at the front, Diamond 580 at the back, and Taiwan, which is where they are made. You have a large ink reservoir. These piston fillers draw up quite a bit of ink. Of course, that's the ink sloshing around. You have the piston housing, and then you have the piston turning knob. It's neat that there are piston fillers that makes you able to use quite a lot of ink, and as you can see, it's a lot of fun to make that slosh around there. Okay, then you have this section, usually plastic, but in this case aluminum, and this is the purple variant. There was also an orange one, for example, so I think they're going to launch more colors as time progresses. Barrel, it is faceted. I don't know how well you can see that, but it has decent and nice facets to it. And then you have this end, which I've always enjoyed. A decently sized pen too. The section is maybe a little skinny given the girth of the barrel, but I find it pleasant to hold. This is the fine nib, but you can get them in extra fine, fine, medium, and broad, and then there's a 1.1 and 1.5 millimeter italics. And my 1.5 millimeter italic on the 580 ran dry continuously, so in this case I opted for the fine, and indeed it runs much better. Doesn't really run dry. Okay, the nib I enjoy. It's a good number 5 nib. Has a nice the TWSBI logo engraved on it, as well as F for fine, bit of scroll work. Looks good. It's a nice looking nib, and an interesting feed with a giant air exchange channel right there, which I find fascinating too. Okay, what do I like about the pen? What do I not like about the pen? Well, the aluminum is interesting. It doesn't really make the pen a lot heavier, I think, but it looks cool. It's neat to see those aluminum parts. They add an even more industrial design look to the pen, I think. I also really hope that this is going to aid in cracking. It would be great if that problem would be reduced. Another thing I like, of course, piston filler. That's always fun, and it really draws up a large amount of ink, which is very useful. For example, if you're a student, you have to take a lot of notes. These pens will definitely last you a while with one inking up. Things I don't like so much. This part of the section rotates and that means that even if you don't unscrew it as you write, it can rotate a bit. Now on this one it's fairly tight, but on my 580, for example, the non-aluminum version, this was much looser, and I actually found that to rotate as I wrote a bit. In this specific model, at least this one exemplar of the model, that does not really seem to be an issue. Piston operation is smooth, that's nice, but one thing I've never really understood is why they don't make these pens more postable, because they post extremely shallowly and you end up with this whopper of a pen. I think it would be very comfortable, especially given the fact that the normal models have just plastic parts. It would add a nice bit of weight to the end, because the cap is fairly heavy. It would make for a nicely balanced pen, whereas right now you cannot use it posted. That's just not really sensible. It becomes super top heavy. That's pretty much all I can say about these pens. It's a neat design. I've always liked the looks, so I continue to follow the brand with a lot of interest. One thing I should mention before I end, I should have said that at the beginning, but I didn't. This pen was sent to me by La Couronne du Comte for review purposes, so thanks a lot. How can I forget that? I'm scatterbrained. But now you know, La Couronne du Comte, so thanks a lot. Let's do a couple of measurements, and then we'll do a writing sample. Weight, overall 32 grams, the cap is 10 grams, and the body is 22 grams. So as I said, the cap is really decently heavy. Capped 143 millimeters, 5.63 inches long. Uncapped 130.2 millimeters, that's 5.12 inches long. I've not measured this posted because I don't think anyone is going to use this posted. Barrel is 12.3 millimeters, that's 0.48 inches diameter, and the section is 9.4 to 10.9 millimeters, or 0.37 to 0.43 inches. Alright, the TWSBI, let's see how it holds up on paper. Let's do some writing. Hope this was useful so far, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so here we go with the TWSBI. Aluminum 580, it's a fine nib, and the ink is Yamabudo by Iro Shizuku. One thing I very much appreciate is that although this is a fine nib, it's a very nice, smooth writer. That's very cool. It's not a very feedbacky fine. And as you can see, a nice, rich ink flow, which I also enjoy. It does not run dry. Let me see. Let's test that wetness while we're at it anyway. As you can see, a nice wet pen. Line variation. You can definitely squeeze out some line variation if you're careful. Now, reverse writing. In this case you go from fine to, I would say, extra fine, is definitely a bit more feedbacky than the normal writing experience. Alright, so thanks kindly to La Couronne du Comte for sending me this pen to review. I appreciate it. Guys, I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.